Hey there, Mr. Reddit here. Welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. Entitled Mom calls police on me because I refuse to pay to fix her car. After that, guy decides he needs handicap parking spot more than my mom does. After that, Karen tries to get me fired over free pickles. And after that, apparently anyone who's in a Halloween costume works here. Now, Karen assured me that if we can get 1,000 likes on this video, she'll stop trying to take things that don't belong to her. So please smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day.
And if you want a custom message from Karen, visit Mr. Reddit on Fiverr, link below.
Entitled Mom calls police on me because I refuse to pay to fix her car. Cast. We've got me. We've got Entitled Mom. We've got Innocent Kid, Assistant Manager, and the police. I worked at a truck stop, and on this particular day, I was working the front, which is mostly car drivers. Kid comes in and says she wants to fill up on pump 16 and leaves me her card. I asked if she was getting diesel, and she said yes. She comes back in a few minutes later and pays. I thought that would be the end of it. Nope. Enter Entitled Mom. This is probably where I should drop some knowledge. Pumps 14, 15, and 16 are different from the other pumps on that side. They are meant for vehicles bigger than cars, but not as big as tractor trailers. If you don't know, most of those vehicles have 2 tanks. As such, there are nozzles on each side. Think a little less space between pumps and turn one around so they're facing each other. There's only one parking space for all the pumps. There are 3 standalone pumps on each side, spaced very close together. They look like ones you'd see in a mom and pop store. One is regular gas, one is premium, one is diesel, respectively on each side. It sounds confusing, but it's beneficial for the vehicles needing more space and various fuel types. Sorry if I explained this wrong. I don't always do well when describing things. The majority of people using those pumps are well versed on how to use them. Occasionally, other people would pull up when we were slammed, and it was usually these people who would mess it up. Each pump is vastly detailed to prevent errors. If only. The diesel pump is pretty much plastered with the word diesel everywhere, including the handle of the nozzle. I kept more than a few people from putting the wrong fuel type in their vehicle. I was always vigilant about asking because I know how I'd feel to make a costly mistake like this. If someone were to say they wanted diesel on pump 14, I'd tell them the diesel pump was 16. Now, back to our Entitled Mom. This lady is furious when she walks in. She immediately asks who rang up her daughter, and I said me. Then she's all,
My daughter just gave me the receipt, and this is not what I paid for. Your advertised gas price is...
Insert 2012 gas price here.
And I was charged a lot more. Can I speak to your manager?
Me. Yes, ma'am, I'll go get her. Just an FYI though, that's the diesel price, which is what you purchased.
What? I asked for gas, not diesel. Are you telling me that there is diesel in my car? This is your fault.
Nee. Ma'am, I just asked your daughter if she was buying diesel, and she assured me she was.
She's just a child. You should know better. My car is a...
whatever brand, I don't remember.
And I know you can look at it and see it takes gas.
Me. Ma'am, I don't have a view of that side of the lot, so I had no idea what you were driving. That's irrelevant anyway, because some cars do take diesel. At this point, my manager came up because Entitled Mom was making a scene. Basically, she reiterated everything that I told Entitled Mom. Entitled Mom was having none of it. She was convinced it was my fault, and nothing was going to deter her from that way of thinking.
This isn't right. I'm calling the police and filing a complaint. You are going to pay for the damage to my car from the diesel.
I just avoided her because I had other customers. Enter the police. They get a rundown of everything and explain that neither me nor the store were liable. Entitled Mom.
But my daughter didn't know. She is an innocent girl, and because of this lady, my car is ruined. Can't you do anything?
Police. It seems that if you had not sent your daughter in, this probably wouldn't have happened. As you said, she didn't know the difference in gasoline and diesel, yet you still put that responsibility on her by sending her in.
But that's not fair. Who is your supervisor? I am going to speak to them about all of you. And your unwillingness to help and to blame an innocent kid.
Literally, none of us blamed the girl at all. I actually felt really bad for her and even told her before she left she wasn't to blame. Ultimately, it was her mom's fault for sending her in there with no idea what she was doing. Entitled Mom finally realized that what she wanted wasn't going to happen, but she was not happy about it. She wanted me to pay and or lose my job. She ended up being there my entire shift, waiting for someone to come pump out the diesel. She came back in several times throughout that day and stared daggers at me every time. I actually left before she did and laughed my butt off as I walked by her. I never saw her again, but she made good on her promise to complain to my company. Exaggeratedly, might I add. She made it sound as if I intentionally and maliciously made her pump diesel in her car. As if that's even plausible to begin with. Thankfully, my manager was there and told the actual story, and nothing happened to me. I know it sucks when this crap happens, and you want someone to blame, but we literally can't pay for your gas. I can't give you money out of my register. That would be stealing. People would tell me the wrong pump number, or forget to pump their gas and come back surprised that someone else had pumped their gas. Almost all of them expected for us to reimburse them for their mistake. You could literally get fired for being $5 short, much less filling up someone's gas tank because they messed up. Next we've got, guy decides he needs handicap parking spot more than my mom. A few years ago, in the middle of good old Canadian winter in January, my mom was heading to her car to go to work. Now, no one knows what exactly happened, but she probably slipped on some ice. But she fell and hit her head hard. My stepdad saw her outside and called an ambulance in time though. She had no memory for weeks on end, and her body wasn't working right for a long while after. Fingers and toes going limp/numb, or just not strong or working right. Basically, she was recovering for months. I'm also very protective of her and my siblings. Alright, context rant over. On to the story. We've got me, we've got entitled dad, we've got my mom, and we've got awesome police officer. So this takes place a few weeks after my mom got out of the hospital. She was using a cane to walk as her arms and legs were still pretty weak at times, and so she had a handicapped placard. I don't know what you call it where you're from, but that's what it's called in Canada. She needed to get her prescriptions from the store, and I had nothing to do that day, so I volunteered to take her. She lived in a small town at the time, with only one major pharmacy, so we of course went there. And as the title suggests, both handicap spots were taken, so I dropped my mom off as close to the door as possible and went to find a different spot. But as I went by the other cars in the handicap spots, I noticed one of them didn't have the placard. This definitely rubbed me the wrong way, of course, since my mom, who really needed the spot, had to walk further, so I did something extremely petty. I decided to park directly behind that car and block them in and wait for them to come out, not really thinking of how it all looked. A little extra context since I know we all enjoy that. I'm a huge metalhead, so I kind of dressed the part even in early spring. Black jeans, high-top shoes, 5-finger death punch shirt, metal militia hat, spiked earrings, big red/black flannel jacket, and I have a bad case of resting jerk face. So thinking back, it looks bad seeing that blocking your car into its spot with your kids in the car. Continuing with the story, this guy comes out and sees me and immediately tears into me. This was a while ago, so dialogue isn't 100% exact. Entitled Dad.
Hey, what the heck do you think you're doing?
Me. I'm just here waiting for my mom to get her prescription.
Well, you can't just park there and block me in. I need to leave, so move.
I mean, if you can park wherever you want, then so can I, right? Considering you took the only other handicap spot and my mom needs it. So I think I'll be staying right where I am. At this point, he's in my face and there's some yelling back and forth. He tries to take my keys and I threaten to knock him out. I know, jerk move, but again, I'm upset and my adrenaline is firing. Then he decides he's calling the cops. It's a super small town, so there's not a lot going on, and an officer is there in 2 minutes. Officer. All right, gentlemen, what's the issue?
This kid is blocking my car for no reason. Arrest him or make him move.
Me. Yeah, I'm blocking him, but only because my mom needed this spot, and he's parked here illegally. He starts to get the other guy's side of the story and looks at our vehicles when my mom finally comes out. Mom. Aaron, what's going on? Police officer. Hello, ma'am. How are you feeling? Been a while since I've seen you. How's your head doing? I heard you were in the hospital for a while. When entitled dad hears this and sees my mom, he goes white. Turns out that was one of the officers that came and checked on things when my dad called for an ambulance, and he knew without a doubt she needed that spot. And of course, when she told him about the parking issue, I was told to move and given a warning, but I'm pretty sure he handed the other guy a ticket and gave him a serious talking to. Next we've got Karen tries to get me fired over free pickles. So, some of you might know that I used to work at a certain fast food restaurant, and just like every other customer service rep, have dealt with my fair share of entitled people and their kids, though the kids usually weren't entitled or bratty, and overall just sweet, normal kids, having to deal with their bratty parents. Coming into work every day felt like walking through tall grass, and a wild Karen could always appear. I've got a treasure chest full of stories, but this one is by far my favorite. On normal days, I was usually made to work in the drive-thru window, handing out bags of food instead of taking orders, mostly because I was garbage at trying to take orders since I couldn't hear all that well with all the background noise. Good morning, here's your burger and fries with a Coke. Have a good day. And today was no different. It's halfway through the lunch hours when Karen's order pops up on my screen. 5 double cheeseburger meals with extra pickles and a couple Cokes. I don't think too hard about it. Get her drinks ready and wait for her to roll up so I can just hand her order off and wait for the next customer. Karen rolls up, her hair as messy as the car she drove and a cigarette in her hand. She's got 2 girls sitting in the back of her car, texting on their phones and paying me no mind. Me. Hi, did you order the 5 double cheeseburgers? Karen nods her head and responds in her deep southern drawl.
Yes, with extra pickles.
Me. Yes, ma'am, here's your order. And you have a good day. Karen just sneers and rolls her eyes at me as she takes the food and speeds off. And I think that's the end of our interaction. Boy, was I wrong. Not 5 minutes later, I hear a banging on the window, and I turn around to see Karen, red in the face, and her 2 daughters looking pitifully up at me, aware of what's about to happen next. She goes off the second I open my window.
Excuse me, but I said I wanted extra pickles on my cheeseburger. And look how many I got.
She basically crawls out of the driver's side window to shove that burger into my hands, showing not 2, but 4 pickles on the pitifully made sandwich. Oh, the humanity. On a quick side note, we don't upcharge for any extra pickles that they request for our cheaper menu options, so these are still free pickles she's got on her sandwich.
I have my receipt. You charged me for these extra pickles, and I only get 4 on each burger? I want my order remade.
Me, shaking, because I do not like confrontation. Okay, ma'am, I'll talk to my manager and try to get your order remade for you. I close my window and take the rejected cheeseburger to my manager, who's standing 4 feet away from me, thinking I've resolved the issue. Apparently not. I hear something hit the window, followed shortly by tires screeching as this woman hits the gas and pulls into a parking space in front of the store, slamming her car doors. I kid you not, someone's kid started screaming and wailing as this woman storms into the restaurant, her face red with the fury she was about to unleash. My manager shoos me back to the window before I can get caught up in the crossfire. Karen.
Hello?
Manager. Yes, ma'am. Is there an issue?
Yes, there's an issue.
She points a finger at me.
That jerk charged me for extra pickles, and I only get the same amount of pickles. They put the same amount of pickles they made on any other burger.
Manager. Ma'am, you ordered the double cheeseburger. We normally make these with 2 pickles instead of 4, and we didn't upcharge you for any extra.
Well, I wanted more pickles.
I'm so sorry about the inconvenience, ma'am. We'll remake your order free of charge.
What about her?
She points at me again. What about her?
I want her fired for being so rude and inconsiderate. This is not good customer service.
Manager. Oh, I'm sorry. How was she rude?
She took my burger from me.
Me cutting in. Ma'am, you handed me your burger, so I just took it so I could get it fixed.
Well, I didn't want the old burgers fixed. I wanted to get a whole new order to make up for this one being messed up.
Manager. I'm sorry about this, ma'am. Can we have your old bag of food? We'll just throw it out and make your order from scratch.
No, I just want my new, correct order.
This goes on for a few minutes, with my manager trying to be as calm as she can be while this woman just goes back and forth with her. If I had to make a guess, she was just trying to pilfer extra food from them. One of her daughters, who came in the store with her, tried to get Karen to calm down and leave, obviously having dealt with this sort of thing before. I start ignoring her and go back to handing out food. The woman in the car behind Karen pulled up and started apologizing for her behavior. Apparently, when I turned around, Karen had gotten upset and lobbed a couple of the burgers at the window, screaming and yelling. The lady in the car behind her was appalled and, before she screeched off, threw one of her old drinks at Karen's car. She was so sweet compared to the screeching banshee behind me. As the story goes, Karen eventually breaks down and hands her rejected order back to the manager, gets her order remade with 8 pickles per sandwich, and leaves in a huff with her daughter apologizing behind her as they leave. Next we've got, apparently anyone who's in a Halloween costume works here. Our cast. We've got me, Eclipse, frozen food employee dressed as Han Solo. We've got Leo, coworker and Dungeons & Dragons buddy dressed as Chewbacca. We've got Matt, metalhead and Dungeons & Dragons friend dressed in full plate mail. And we've got random coworker. And our antagonist, Karen. Background. Matt enjoys LARPing and ended up building his own suit of plate mail after following a few video tutorials. He thought it looked cool and wanted to show off to some of his LARP friends. Leo and I work at a certain blue store that sells just about everything, rhymes with mallwart. Anyways, we were working the evening shift last Halloween and let Matt know so we could all go grab dinner at the same time. He finished work much earlier than expected and decided to swing by his place and grab his costume, then show up at our mallwart and pretend to be a statue. Leo and I pulling a pallet of ice to the front to start stocking the icebox. All the while I'm quoting Han, and Leo is just making Wookiee noises. We're up near the front stocking ice when we see none other than Matt doing his best impression of a statue, then suddenly moving, startling folks near him. We both snicker at his antics as he surprises a few kids while speaking in ye olde English. After unloading the whole pallet, we decided to move on to drop off our empty pallet and clock for lunch. I go over to Matt to let him know. Me. Hey Matt, you okay in there? We'll be dropping off this pallet, then go clock out to lunch and head right back, okay? Matt. Could thou acquire a flask of water? 'Tis quite hot in here. Me. Sure, I have a spare I carry. Hand him a water bottle I keep handy. Thinketh thou. Me, rolling eyes internally. See ya, we'll be right back. We head off to go clock for lunch and chat with a few coworkers who are just now coming back from their lunch. About 4 to 5 minutes later, when we are heading back, we hear the oh-so-familiar line. Karen, with a voice like nails on a chalkboard.
What do you mean you don't work here? You're just wanting to be a lazy employee.
Matt, no longer speaking in ye olde English. No ma'am, I don't work here. I just finished my actual job a little over 2 hours ago. I'm just here to go grab dinner with my friends. Karen.
Look at all the employees here. They're dressed up in their costumes.
Not really. Only a handful of us were.
Now, get me your manager. I want your rude butt fired.
Me, now arriving on the scene. What's going on here? Karen, seeing my uniform.
Ah, a manager.
Note, I did not have a manager's badge on, just my uniform.
Your rude employee here wouldn't do his job. He's such a lazy jerk. Also, do you know where the eggnog is? That's what I'm here to get.
Me. Yes, ma'am. The eggnog is... Give specific location. Gallon-sized is in the middle shelf. Bottom shelf has half gallons, and quart size is on the second to top shelf.
Thanks.
In an irritated tone.
What? You're not going to walk me there?
Me. Sorry, ma'am, but I've got a rude employee here I need to discipline. Leo here's going with me as my witness. Leo. That's right. Me. Just in case he tries to stir up trouble with corporate by claiming wrongful termination. Ah, one sec. To RC. Hey RC, can you show this customer where the eggnog is? I gotta handle this. RC playing along. Sure thing, boss. Right this way, ma'am. Leads her off to the eggnog. Nee, just to keep up the charade. Pulls Matt along outside. Come on, man. Acting like you don't work here. And I told you that costume goes against dress code. Seriously, man. You know this will cost you your job. I check behind me. No Karen. You owe me for this. And I think I'll cash in that favor for a bacon temptation omelet at IHOP. And thus our intrepid trio escaped that encounter and we went forth to the local house of pancakes where we ate. Parting ways, Leo and I returned to see Karen stomping out of there. I had my window down and could hear a bit of her loudly ranting about lazy workers these days and need to report them all to that manager. So we walk back in and I ask RC, "So, I guess that was a grade A Karen." RC, knowing what I mean, "I think you mean Tropical Storm Karen. She yelled at a couple of kids in Halloween costumes." Me, "Glad I wasn't here." RC, "She kept asking where you went. I just told her that after terminating that guy, you went to lunch. She only got angrier about that." Leo, "Good thing you aren't a manager." Light elbowing. Me, "Well, here's hoping nothing comes of this. Oh yeah, RC, we got you something." Hand him a take-home box with some pancakes. Think of it as, "I'm sorry you had to deal with a Karen pancakes." Told Matt about the aftermath. He laughed and told me she also yelled at someone in the parking lot thinking they were the cart pusher. It was just some dude getting a cart. Lastly, it seems like she didn't file a complaint, or if she did, it got ignored, or management hasn't told anyone. So far, no sign of her. And I'm glad. And shoutouts to our re-generals of the day: Nico Nightwolf, WR Girly, Nerdy Sweetie Peachy, Elliot Games, and Mikasa. Become tomorrow's re-generals by leaving as many re's as you can in the comments below.